Goodbye, my love, my sweet. Oh, the world twists and turns anew. We try so hard to fix it up, but trying our hardest was not enough. We're sorry. Meadow Valley, we have failed you. We're sorry. Meadow Valley, we have failed you. We didn't mean to hurt you. We just wanted to go on. We didn't mean to hurt you. We wanted the earth to burn on. We didn't mean to hurt you. But mean is what we are. We did not deserve you. Now we will pass on. We're sorry. Meadow Valley, please don't take long to move on to a final place where we will sleep on. Maybe in the future others will make it right. What we did wrong, and we will see moonlight.
Hey, Seymour, look at this frog I found. It's got so many pretty markings.
Strawberry, no! Those are poison dart frogs.
Oh, it's okay. We are made of felt. We don't get toxins.
wants you to take a look at the following Troy Beauty brand products. Looks good, right? Perhaps they could serve as a lovely gift for children, wives even. Well, our scientists say no. No, they don't. Troy Beauty products have been removed from all stores and establishments due to their large amounts of acidic properties. Among the harmful effects that these properties could have on your system are severe chemical burns on the skin, eye irritation, lung damage, intoxication if ingested, and potentially death. Doesn't sound so lovely anymore, If you keep one of these products in your household, discard it immediately. If you or someone you know has used these products, visit the nearest hospital as soon as possible. Please, consider spreading this information. This announcement will continue to air until poisoning cases involving the Troy Beauty brand cease. Remember, we care about your health. We care about you.
Hey guys and gals, let's sing along with me and the Harmonious. Remember, peace and love and stars above. What? No! How are you here? You shouldn't be.
Look, Seymour, a poster! Oh, I hope it's for a birthday party!
Oh,
Onion? Are they making French onion soup?
must.
Oh, then it's up to us! Quick, Seymour, we have to help them!
Slow down, you two. You're not thinking of running off without me, are you?
Beatrice B.E.!
You better believe it.
Miss Beatrice. And
Oh, the factory workers unionizing their soup, see?
That says union, not onion, you silly things.
oh yeah.
What's a union?
A union is an organization formed by unhappy workers who use their collective power to make demands of the workplace.
Oh, can we join? Can we ask for more parties? Can we ask for more complimentary candy in the break room? Or a swimming pool? Or...
Oh,
Why don't you see for yourselves? Not so fast. Didn't you read the fine print?
wait.
At the start of the queue.
Oh, what do we do?
You better pay up. 150 American dollars every quarter, to be exact. If you don't, you'll be in bad standing.
Well, I think I'm very good at standing.
I'm afraid you're both wrong. But you'll find out soon enough. Let's attend a meeting.
We can't let this injustice slide. Serve me a 2-week notice. For what? Taking a few extra vacation days? I deserve it.
Yeah!
A month? 2 months? 3? What's the difference? I demand to be reinstated. I know you're all with me, right, boys?
Yeah!
In fact, I think I deserve a raise.
Yeah!
I thought we all got... Why is he the only one standing up?
That's the union president.
Who's that?
He gets to decide which demands make it to the floor.
Oh,
Listen up. Those fat cats upstairs can't fire all of us. I say we strike.
Strike!
Strike!
Now we're going bowling?
No, my sweet Straw Betty. They're calling a strike. It means no working until the demands are met.
Oh, well, that's easy. I don't even work here.
That's right. You're here to support your husband, aren't you? But what if he can't support you?
What do you mean?
No work means no pay. You won't be able to afford basic necessities like food or housing, and especially no sweet treats.
Then
But Seymour, you haven't paid your dues. You don't get a say on what the union does. That's bad standing.
then I
Let's see how that works out, shall we?
Oh, I guess I'm... Seymour? Seymour, where are you?
Oh, don't you remember, Straw Betty? Your Seymour is going to work today, so you can afford this beautiful house, even though the union doesn't want him to. What do you think that means?
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, that must be him. Seymour, are you at work yet? Is every...
Hey there, little missy. Looks like your scab of a husband isn't home. Well, we'll see he gets what's coming to him.
Leave Seymour alone, you goon! Oh, forget this. I need to go...
And leave your house vulnerable to attacks from those goons?
Attacks? They'll go that far?
Some union goons will go to any length to ensure their demands are met, including intimidation of other employees and their families.
Oh, what do I do?
I'm afraid all you can do is wait.
Well, well, well. Look what we have here. A filthy scam.
I.
Get him!
Oh.
Seymour!
Strawberry. Straubs, dear.
I'm sorry too. The unions sure are scary.
I'm afraid you don't get a choice. Joining is compulsory.
Make it stop.
The only way to make it stop is to ensure it never starts in the first place.
Of course.
Remember, unions might promise you a lot of nice things, but you're still at the whims of a committee who may not have your best interests at heart. Talk to your employer or a human resources representative about your concerns. And please, be careful. We care about you and we care about your families. Our only hope is that everyone continues to make the decisions in their own best interest. Be good now. Bye-bye.
Hello? Okay. Did that work? Can people hear me now? For some reason, OBS always wants to switch my microphone to something that just isn't even a microphone. It's so cool and fun how it does that every time. Anyways, hi everybody. I'm glad to see so many people here. Well, Murphy already did the big, long official walkthrough for the recent Pendog update. I thought it would be fun to just do a little one of my own, talk about some of my writing that I did for this update, just talk about some of the themes, some of my thoughts behind stuff, some of the art I did, all that stuff. And if we're lucky, we might even be joined by a special celebrity co-host if everything goes well. So I hope you all behave yourselves. And speaking of behaving, I'll run over the rules pretty quickly. It's pretty chill, pretty much just be appropriate, be nice to everyone, be nice to me, be nice to your fellow chatters, and stay on topic, We're all here to have a fun, chill time, so everyone be fun and everyone be chill, right? Yeah, you guys are pretty great, though. I've never had any major issues with streaming so far, so yay! So, like I was saying, this is not going to be a walkthrough, so I'm not going to be explaining puzzles in detail. There are some parts I might not even talk about at all, just because I didn't have much of a hand in those parts of the update. The assumption here is that you have experienced the update yourself, at least to some degree, or you don't mind spoilers. So I might not be talking about everything in order, or I might be referencing different parts of the update even if we haven't necessarily talked about it yet. So, this is Spoilers Yes stream. Mostly just talking about stuff, because working on this project is really cool and really fun, and there's a lot of thought that goes into everything, and so I think it's fun to see the behind the scenes of stuff I like, and I know there are people who enjoy these streams too, so I'm glad to be able to do it. So, how's everyone feeling? Is everyone having a good night? Is everyone ready? Are we ready for the slasher? If we're ready and there's nothing else to say, let's get into the reading. And look at that, I got a nice, cute little outfit again. So, where should we start? Let's go find the slasher, shall we? So if we go down to the slashers page, the Clouded Judgment page, our lovely favorite eye bleeding page that gives me a headache to look at, and we scroll all the way down, we find the nice gash she tore in the page last year. And if we go all the way down to the bottom, we have the the slashlings. Look at them. They're so ready to learn, ready for school. They're going to slasher school. And if you saw Murphy's walkthrough, there was a fun, cute little slasherling cursor, but it made navigating the site difficult for a lot of people, so we had to get rid of her. But don't worry about her. She graduated. She's fine. She graduated slasher school, and now she's out there in the world killing people and kissing women. Aren't you proud of her? The original walk is still one of your favorite bits of writing on her? Yeah, it's very, very good. It's very emotional. But this year it's snowing. So, let's hear what the slasher has to say. What month is it? It was February when this came out. Let's hear what she had to say last February.
You stand at the edge of nowhere. Their coats and mittens long succumb to the freezing chill that batters away at skin and bone. Arms, legs, fingers, toes, all more human in their rigid, staggered motion. Those frostbitten hands of yours reach forward towards some sort of destination. Hopeless to stop the blinding haze of snow that cuts and gouges the field of vision of anyone who approaches this barren place. Through the squinted dual windows of ice-flaked eyes, the world outside seemed completely white. The way those black branches twist, bend, and flicker between torrents of snowfall gives the impression of moving limbs in an active pursuit. You've never had an eye for the details, and it helps you convince yourself that perhaps these creatures look identical, but they are not, probably.
In the distance, a sickly red hue illuminates the white horizon. Not warm, not comforting, just another strangeness. The red light, which grows stronger as you approach, seems to soak into the snow, polluting its purity. At the center of the red, you observe an ever-clarifying shape, a tall spire. Could it be a tent? A radio tower? It is sharp in all the way those things are. Yes. No. Steel can be so good. A tent surely would have blown away in such weather. The construction of the shape hurts to even look at. So sharp it makes your eyes begin to tingle. In all its design, just from seeing the blurry silhouette, you think that this might be the architecture of perfected hostility. When the tremors first erupt, you panic, thinking that there must be an earthquake or avalanche, and yet, Wherever you look, there is no sign of these things. To your horror, the cause of their vibrations are not an external force, but an internal one. Every organ in your body rumbles and quakes. Every hair stands on end, and your eyes painfully roll themselves to look to the left, to the right, up, down, legs forcing against your will, to bend backwards and walk the other way. Your entire body makes an active effort in running away from this object.
For so many reasons, close the distance between yourself and that blue dread structure, fighting every step to overcome self-preservation instincts that scream, "Run, you idiot, run!" Even if you wish to run, however, the snow crops up to your knees. There is no fleeing in this place. The winter night air is sickly here, and not quite pitch black, the color of tepid diluted coffee permeated by the hideous luminescence of the snow reflecting the moon rays as if in a mockery of its attempt to bring comfort to the season. Out of that ink-washed sky, out of the ice storm extends the long neck. The cruel smile, the hateful eyes, the bemused face, the devilish shape of the slasher. And I say to you, a nice walk, isn't it? It has been some time, wasn't it? About a year, in fact, since our last gathering. I wouldn't have it any other way. To be separated from someone you care about is such a wonderfully melancholy feeling.
You can nurture and sprout into an addictive habit.
Such as that when you finally meet with those people once more. The warmth, the brightness, the emotion, they all blossom forth into something strange and volatile. But can you feel the shift in the seasons? The encroaching completion of the violent circle? My greeting was not just
In good spirits,
but also to suggest the nature of what is to come. This has all happened before, and will happen again, and again, and again, forever and always, until this bleeding wound ends at the knife-tipped blade that carves it into the fate of the world, curling inwards, along the winter spiral. We walk from dark to light,
watching the candles flicker and focus inwards, as we sustain ourselves against the towering cold.
The thing called history will never end. But if, say, we were to prepare to steel ourselves against it, we can survive it a little longer. We cannot stop ourselves from being murdered by history. That great sharp-toothed beast that eats everything and all. But we can outlive our intended date of death.
Channel the path to something lighter for a brief moment. Since our last meeting, I have wandered long, seeing all the sights of the world that my creator never got the chance to witness herself.
Sifting my blade through bone and skin like a comb through hair. Would you like to hear about it? There are so many stories to tell that by the time I finish them all, you are frozen to death. And I need you alive a little longer. All about 4 recent ones.
Can you manage that? City-wise, the ugliest thing I'd ever have the displeasure of seeing. Los Angeles is such a miserable place, full of shallow, miserable people, openly killing themselves just to live there drawing pictures.
Jane would disagree. She once wished for the chance just to scrub the floors at one of those moving picture factories before she grew bitter and disillusioned with that ugly neon place, full of snake oil salesmen and perfume fumes. And still, Jane had always wanted to visit the city. So in her stead, I felt the need to walk its streets, meet its people, analyze its culture, all for that pitiable woman who terrified its denizens with a single try. So I begrudgingly went through with my self-made promise, endured the lights, the unpleasant people, the laughable infrastructure. If that was all there was to experience of the damned city, I likely would not be recounting the story to you. about?
There was one good thing about that vile experience. One good person. At least for a bit, until they were no longer good.
At first, they were sweet to be around. A meek thing, with a little shop they loved to talk about. I must admit that, sadly, I am more wizened to the nuances of social interaction than my career proved.
Slasher, in the idea defined by a country that sleeps with guns beneath their pillows.
I must be clever and amicable in order to lull the victims into a web of unlocked doors and missing cell phones. Yet, and I speak honestly, I did not approach the person with an attempt to kill, nor is my cordiality a facade. It was easier to deceive and engender goodwill when you mean more than half the things you say. I genuinely found them to be
Pitiable in almost the same way Jane had been.
She took me around the city, seeming more lost than I was as we shot, watched movies, among other things. I had the inkling that they might not have left the house before meeting me. Jane was the same way in her graduate years. An entire, amazing city that she rarely made time to explore. Their blogs were
Interesting. Maybe it was the loneliness that endeared me to them so much. The urge to kill it out of my new friend, to make them feel better. The idea that my presence was causing such a drastic improvement in this person's life was intoxicating, addictive. For once I was more than a slasher. Hangouts turn into dates, turn into sleepovers, turn into morning coffee, turn into something better, something different.
Of course. I am a slasher. Sometimes we get the final girl. Sometimes we watch them run away. Sometimes both. I did not get them in the end. Or rather, I did. But not the way I wanted. Or they wanted. I think we were both unhappy with how things ultimately wrapped up.
None from that messy business.
I moved out into better, but still no more appealing cities. My steps turned accordingly with the weather patterns that brought with them terrible storms and choking frost air. What city I ended up in didn't particularly matter. The important detail was of what lay within it. An esteemed art gallery. Quite big enough to be a museum, not small enough to be along the lines of one's college art building. Well known enough that patrons regularly stopped to look at it in admiration. As a young undergrad student, Jane had visited this gallery and had been awed by the various works. Brutal paintings with frayed edges and heavily layered with brushstrokes caught her mind. And for the first time in her life, the young graphic design student began to wonder if she could be doing something else with her life. Those brushstrokes, as you surely know, would later overtake her mind in increasingly destructive ways.
That is neither here nor there to discuss. A bit redundant, really.
You always had thoughts about that building. Loved it almost as if it was a person. The idea of returning to see it one day always in the back of her mind. But much like her ambitions, never realized. What is and what is not inhabited is such an oddity to decipher.
In this world of slashers, cartoon attack hounds, electrical men, the polka dotted thing, and of course the corpse-skinned worm. Well,
it is interesting what other things spring to life. A painting that was loved, a building where so many suffered and lost their lives. A party gone wrong. A website that copies and echoes the events discussed on it.
in this simple art gallery that a young girl loved once upon a time.
It made things inconvenient, you see. When I did what needed to be done, I'm not sure if I could ever show my face to Jane after what I did there. A place that loved and hated Jane all at once. Located in windy Chicago.
Bombarded by the winds and downpours, ferrying me through its borders.
Jane loved this place too, you know. She loved places because it was easier than loving people. And when she had to leave the state, it broke her heart. She only lived there for 2 years. A little less than, even. Yet when she moved back home, she would wake up at night feeling homesick for the windy city and start to cry. She'd tell herself it was stupid. Deep down, though,
She knew it wasn't stupid and it wasn't foolish. That place was the first time she'd felt comfortable calling somewhere home. That place loved her too, the people in it, at least a lot of them. Loved Jane too.
but the ease with which she allowed herself to
Slip out of their lives.
left a bitter note on everything. So much that those who made life difficult for Jane during her stay there prevented any further discussion of the zine store. I inserted myself into the students' winter market as
Easily as the seasonal chill.
making my rounds and spying in on what was being orchestrated behind the scenes.
Thinking about how things went down when I attended that event tickles me so. What a mess. What a catastrophe. What a clever generation that is to inherit this earth.
Jane would be so proud if she knew, would be so humbled if she knew how loved she was.
Last place I visited before where we find ourselves now. Family business is always repulsive. Neighborhood quarrels much more so. As you've likely read in Jane's zine on motherhood and the general concept of parenthood, the Western family unit roots contempt for all people. The inherent violence of the dynamic blossoming to new, grotesque proportions when cultivated within suburbia. Jane's hometown was a shallow, hollow location to grow up in. The last place you want a child like her to be perceived.
Sadly, I was not responsible
For what became of my creator's mother, something that makes me
Feel such a silly sort of way. It's taken everything I have not to storm into that building and strangle the ones who did it, to pick up Jane in my arms and carry her from that bedraggled place.
we're to find some place free of all of this.
somewhere she can sleep, somewhere she can call home once more.
But Jane is strong. Jane doesn't
Need be.
and if she does, she will call my name. Only then will I intervene. The reason I visited was not related to her mother, see?
Whatever those sailing dreamers touch with their waterlogged fingers becomes pestilent. Bad business to interact with their little productions for too long, as they have a tendency to cling on long after the event.
What prompted my visit was the reminder of another child, one still a child, left behind when Jane fled that town and thus losing his only confidant in the process.
Confidant in what you ask?
Unlike the scarecrow, I do not go poking and nudging others towards things they have no business knowing.
This site, though. I've mentioned it before, but
History is not solid matter. In the internet age, history and information has only become more and more fluid.
taking that into consideration with the ease at which concepts and structures can be inhabited, well, it is a museum that fills the empty exhibits with its own approximations, collages from all that it may find from the deepest dredges of the web.
And beyond.
Enough of this, however. Why are we here? Standing at the edge of the cold, letting the sleet and hail and snow chisel away at our faces.
That old patchwork scarecrow.
Those who share her intuition are likely to know as well as I what the purpose of this meeting is. Yet I have intimidated them, through agreements with them, told them to mind their own business
Lest I grow hateful and bitter.
towards their proximity to me.
I would never kill the puppet, you understand. I would never stitch her mouth shut or rip her in half. It would be impolite.
I have grown since my days as the puppet killer. It is just so that she knows there are violences that must be adhered to. Where does that leave us? The mutt, diminished in power. The bee, they find themselves too weakened and too isolated to interfere in any meaningful way in what is about to occur.
Warmth illuminates my face at the thought of what has been predicted.
Ah, but
I wish to tell you all goodbye.
I must say I was
Flattered you bothered to read about me at all, to walk with me the last time.
to ponder on my many killings.
How joyous it makes me feel just to remember those occasions. My only friends, my only companions. No, my followers.
Following my every word, treading after me in the cold, leaving patterns of footprints behind in the pallid snow below that resonated with the swirling snowdrifts above. It is not enough to save you, however. The whole world has to pay the price of what it did to Jane. Punish the whole class, even the students who did nothing wrong, to set an example. You should get out of here. You're on the wrong side of the canvas hanging out with something like me. Like them, like her, that little imp. The Red Valley twins, they have all fled this place as animals tend to do before the storm. If you've been prying around, reading the pitiable manuscripts of Rennie's pity party, you surely must know what a dangerous thing it is she intends to do. And I intend to let her do so.
Do you intend to intervene?
Nice thought.
Poor decision. Very messy, strangled with your own intestines.
Lost to the bloated parasite feasting on the spoils.
You honestly might be better off reclining in my quarters
when the dreaded day arrives.
But I do love little wagers and games. How about this? How about you find my heart?
A wretched slasher such as myself has one. Hidden, shallow, shuddering, yet still there. Tell me what my heart is. Do that, and I will consider playing another game with you on the day when the red reaches the sky.
It was a nice walk.
I wish it wasn't the last. I will think on it for a while, a long while, and I will think about the world for a very long while, and I will think about history. I will think about history for a long while. I will think about Jane until my heart stops its function. I will think about you no longer.
Farewell.
Oh boy. Well, there's certainly a lot to talk about here alone. I will talk about the audio editing and maybe a few of the things that the slasher herself said. But let's start with the audio editing since that's what I had a hand in for this page. Murphy did all the writing and so many amazing sprites. Murphy went crazy with the sprites this time. But I was in charge of the audio editing for the slasher. Hi, Misfits! Welcome to the stream. So, yeah, the audio editing was a process. It took a while to figure out how the slasher should sound. Like, not just for choosing her VAs, that took a while. There were so many auditions, it was amazing to listen to. But, like, figuring out her voice effects, it took a while. Everything about the slasher is based off of how people perceive her, how people perceive Jane's art, or how the idea of the imagined slasher hiding in the shadows manifests in people's minds. So, naturally, as a part of that, her voice warps and changes, and so does her appearance. Even from these little sprites, she doesn't look the same from one sprite to the next. She looks different every time you look at her. So, while both Miss Heckett and the slasher have 3 voices, the editing and the intention behind these choices are very different. Miss Heckett's voice, if we remember her monologue from the Inhabitable Spaces update, her voice changes randomly. From word to sentence, you'll hear a new voice, one of her 3 voices, but there's no rhyme or reason as to why or how it changes. It's just random. Meanwhile, the slasher's voice changes based on what she's saying or what tone the words she's speaking carry. Murphy talked about this on her stream, but different words will be spoken by a different voice depending on what that word's intent, what its impact might be, all that kind of stuff. So some words that are more romantic might go to one voice, while words that are excited or violent or more textbook, that sound more like something out of a textbook, would go to a different voice. In the Deja Vu article about the Blue Ghoul, her voice was described as sounding like a skipping record, and trying to carry that over into actual audio was tricky because it's not that her voice trips over itself or that it stutters. She's very well spoken, she's very eloquent. Even if her words are confusing, she knows what she's saying and she's saying it on purpose intentionally. But I think the effect that I managed to get is really perfect, even if it took, oh gosh, how many days did it take me to edit this? Probably like at least a week. But the warbling and the winding up and down to blend the voices together, it's a really unique effect. I'm glad that we were able to figure that out. How her voice slows down and then it starts up again. That's supposed to sort of mimic the sound of like a cassette tape or a record or something like that. Yeah. I think a stuttering effect would be interesting for another character, but maybe we'll do something with that in the future, but it didn't work for the slasher. And speaking of her voice, her VAs did a really great job too. Her 3 voice actresses are Cranberry Bubble, April Kingrose, and Frigg, and they were all really great to work with. It's so cool getting to meet new people all the time and work with new people. Yeah, Misfit, that's a really good way to put it. There's secret messages if you play it backwards. But the VAs, some of them, I think most of them, are actually pretty new to voice acting too. And for the first time, they absolutely killed it, right? Like, Cranberry, who does sort of the general voice of the slasher. I think it was her first time doing voice acting at all. So, really, really amazing right off the bat. Frigg is in the anthology of the Killer Server. Yeah. Yeah, it's a small world, isn't it? But let's dissect a little bit of what the slasher was saying. I'm not going to speak on every sentence, or else we'll be here for a million years. But there are a few things, if I can find them, that I would like to talk about just for a little bit. Where are we going? Here are the slasherlings again. Look at them, getting their education. Look at them go. So proud of them. Some of this stuff we'll talk about more after looking at things, probably. Here, okay. When the slasher's talking about things that can be inhabited or come to life, or be awakened, as I've seen some people refer to it, it can happen to seemingly anything, and even the slasher herself doesn't entirely seem to understand or know why it happens. Or maybe she does and she's just being vague about it. But you know, slashers, cartoon attack hounds, electrical men, polka dotted things, and the corpse-thickened worm. Those are all characters, those are all things that have faces and bodies and voices, and you can look at it and think, yeah, that's a character. It would make sense for that to be alive. But in the world of Pendog, there's also things like a painting that was loved, a building where many people suffered, a party, the party. That's alive, is it? Do you think so? The website itself, is the website alive? It copies and echoes the events discussed on it. It grows without Penny even knowing about all these other pages on it. There are creatures and consciences living in the website, maybe. Who knows, really? And I don't think I mentioned this, I think I forgot, but as I'm discussing these things, these are just like fun things I want to talk about. Don't take any of this as like the one true intention or the one true meaning of the art. If you want to interpret things a different way, I think that is beautiful, and I love hearing different people's theories and different people's thoughts about things because art resonates with different people differently, and I love to see how it affects people in different ways. So while I might say, like, while I was writing this is what I was thinking, and this is what I was intending with this writing. If you read that and you thought something different, that's amazing, and that's amazing. I said amazing twice. That's amazing, and that's beautiful, and I would love to hear about it. I love reading people's theories. I love seeing what people are thinking and how art is affecting different people. So, yeah. Disclaimer. You're allowed to theorize, you're allowed to have fun, you're allowed to think about things in different ways than I do. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? Look at her stimming, isn't she cute? Here, she's talking about Jane, and we all want to know what happened to Jane, right? We vaguely know, we vaguely have some idea of what happened to her, the poor girl. We don't know much about her home life, what that was like, but, well, we can tell it wasn't great. And we don't know what happened to her family after she left, because Penny, when talking about Jane, said she didn't want to contact her family because she didn't think that what they had to say would be truthful or fair. Sorry. Looking at Discord DMs. But even when a slasher returns to Jane's home, she doesn't actually return to Jane's home or Jane's family, because it seems like Jane's family has already been taken care of by somebody else, some other person or group or being. And we'll see this later too, with a little bit of, I think that's on the gallery page. We'll get there eventually. But the slasher is talking about sailing dreamers with their waterlogged fingers. I think we can hazard a guess as to who those people might be. So, even if Jane wanted to return home, it doesn't seem like she can. And then one more thing down here. The old patchwork scarecrow. Winerva mention? There's nothing new from Winerva on our page this time around, and the slasher tells us why. Because the slasher has intimidated Winerva into keeping to herself. So Winerva's keeping to herself for now. And while the slasher would not kill Winerva or hurt Winerva in any way, the slasher has intimidated her just so that she knows there are violences that must be adhered to. She also mentions the mutt, diminished in power, and the bee, who's too weakened and too isolated to interfere. We will talk about Maisie more later. I have some things to say about her. We get some Maisie crumbs in this update. But the bee, they can't do anything. The mutt, she can't do anything. So, it seems like things are ramping up for something really bad to happen to Penny, and it doesn't seem like anyone can help her. Because the slasher, she doesn't want to help Penny. Why would she want to help Penny? Even if Maisie wanted to help Penny, she's been diminished in power, whatever that means. And the bee? Well, we talked about this last time, but Factory 9 can't really get up and walk around now, can it? Alright, I think that's enough that I have to say about this page for now. So let's get into some of these other pages. I'll start with the blog. I think this might be the thing I have the absolute most to say about this update, since I did all the writing for this. Murphy kind of just let me do whatever with this page, so I had fun with it. Factory 9 spreads legs like Baba Yaga's hut. Feel like it. Baba Yaga's hut, that's a pretty small little building. I think it would be a lot scarier if an entire six-sided factory started walking at you. So, Satie's blog. This is Satie. We can assume. Yeah, it is. So, I think the way I want to do this is I'll read an entry, and then if I have something to say about it, I'll say it then instead of waiting till the end, just so that we can, do things in order. So we're going to be hopping around a little bit between reading and speaking, so hopefully it's not too confusing to follow. August 2025. Hello, blog people. I guess I'm here now. I don't expect anyone to ever actually see this. I just needed a space to vent, I guess. I don't know. I just don't really have anyone I feel like I can talk to about these things, and I guess having some place to write it all out is better than just bottling it all up until it explodes. LOL. Tested positive for grumpiness. It's not that I'm antisocial, I just don't like you. So, right away, you get the feeling that this is a very lonely person who wants connection, but at the same time seems to think human interactions are transactional. Because, they would not be making a public personal blog online if they didn't, on some level, want to connect with people. Even just this message, this is them trying to reach out to people without directly reaching out to people. September 2025. I've never really been someone who cares about, having connections with other people. Maybe that sounds kind of terrible. It's not like I don't enjoy having friends. Having friends is great, obviously. I just don't really feel a need to go seeking out friendships or community, though. I can manage things fine on my own. Plus, it feels like these days everyone's only really out. Oh, my alarm's going off. Sorry if you heard that. It feels like these days everyone's only really out to get something from you. Free promotions, free merch from my shop, a free therapist to trauma dump all their problems on. People will come into my DMs all the time saying just hey or hi, or trying to start random conversations with me, and it's like, why would you think I care about chatting with some rando? LOL. Especially if you're just gonna say hey and nothing else. And then they get upset that I'm ignoring them. Like, one, I don't owe you people anything, and two, if you want a response, at least say something more interesting than a single word. LOL. Someone actually reached out to me a while ago saying we had an old mutual friend in common, which I don't really remember, but okay. They were asking me to work on some storybook zine thing called Blue Stars or something. Unpaid, of course. And it's like, do you think I have time to be able to draw stuff for you for free for a story I've never even heard of and, to be honest, don't care about? I soft block the person because, if you're not going to respect me or my time and ask me to do unpaid labor for you, then you can get the fuck out. LOL. Toddy, hi, welcome. So, Sadie, it seems like they want friends, but they don't want to go through the awkward early stages of making friends. Because, when you're first meeting someone, it is a little awkward. You might say something that you're like, ugh, that was kind of cringe to say. You might be a little bit weird while you get to know each other. It takes a while. But Sadie doesn't seem to want to put in that work to get to know people. They just want to have friends. And even when someone reaches out to them about working together, they turn them down immediately. Speaking of that, they had an old mutual friend in common. I wonder who this person is who's asking Sadie to work on the Stars in Blue with them. 'Cause, well, this is 2025, it can't be Jane. Jane doesn't have internet access. So, who else would want to put together a storybook scene called The Stars in Blue? Must have been Penny. Penny's still trying to work on this behind the scenes for Jane. Oh, and the little blinkies say, alone but not lonely. Fuck you, pay me. Thought it was Jane at first. Someone reached out that they had an old mutual friend in common. So these two people, Sadie and Penny, they might not have known each other directly, but they both knew Jane at some point. I don't blame you if you didn't notice that at first, though. Or maybe it was Jane. Who knows? Sadie never mentioned any names. It could have been Jane. Could have been someone we had never even met. September 2025. Actually, you know what? It kind of really annoys me when mutuals will DM me like, oh, let's do an art trade, let's do a merch swap. I can't afford to be giving out my products for free, man. My small business is my job. I need money to be able to afford to live. I can't be trading my products for other people's junk. Same when people will beg to have their fundraisers shared around or reposted or whatever. I know it's hard out here, but like, I can't really be reposting every help me afford my monthly bills fundraiser post I see. My socials are for promoting my business. It seems unprofessional to be sharing that kind of stuff. I need to spend my time and my resources on me first and foremost, especially when it's the same people posting those kinds of pity posts every month. I don't know, maybe try getting an actual job or putting some more effort into your art and business instead of guilting people into giving you money online all the time. Life's a bitch and so am I. Sadie clearly has the luxury of being able to not care, but they also have a pride. Wait, what did my notes say? I can't even read my own handwriting. Uh-oh. Sadie has the luxury of being able to not care, but that pride is also what keeps them from being able to connect with people. Being part of a community means caring for the people in it. Sadie is very proud of their business and art, but looks down on people struggling more than them. In fact, they go so far as to call other people's stuff, their art, they call other people's art and products junk. And they see asking for help as unprofessional. They feel guilty about this, though. The guilt makes them uncomfortable, and they don't know how to cope with feeling uncomfortable. Yeah, like Murphy said, also, Sadie lives in LA. It is expensive to live in LA, but Sadie is doing well enough that they can afford their own apartment and not have to worry about bills or anything. September 2025. Even though I have a pretty respectable amount of customers and quite a few mutuals, sometimes it doesn't really feel like anyone actually cares about me. Like, there's a few moods who will occasionally chat with me about mostly just like art or business stuff, but it's not really like a personal friendship making conversation. Or I'll see people at cons and we'll talk for like a minute and it goes nowhere and we never talk again. Nobody ever reaches out to just like hang out or ask how I am in a meaningful way. I used to have a few IRL friends in the area, but they all kind of just moved on from me, I guess. Stopped texting me or inviting me to stuff. Maybe I could reach out to them, but like, it's been so long now that it would just feel awkward. I don't know. Whatever, they can all have their dumb Instagrammable brunch get togethers and movie nights without me. I don't care. As if I care. Sadie, I think you do care. At least a little bit. But again, this is them longing to be part of community, but refusing to put in the work required to make connections. You know, even if those little occasional conversations with people about art or business don't last very long or don't seem particularly special, those are still the foundations that might lead to something more personal later. You know, you don't meet someone and instantly become best friends with them. You gotta get to know them first. It takes a while. September 2025. The only real human interactions I get anymore is talking to the worker at the post office when I drop off shop orders. And even then, I can tell the guy that's normally at the counter is more and more annoyed with me each time, because I'm dropping off so many different things all the time. Even my food, I just order no contact delivery most days. It feels almost like I've just forgotten how to have a conversation with another person, forgotten how to make friends. Not that anyone bothers talking to me, anyways. Antisocial. So, Satie is very quick to try and label both themselves and other people around them. Satie, if you ask them, would probably call themselves a mental health advocate, but their version of that would be more about protecting their own peace of mind. And the second anyone displays any kind of symptom that makes them uncomfortable, they cut that person off instead of trying to understand them. Which we see more of in this post. I can block whoever I want for whatever reason I want, and I don't owe anyone an explanation as to why. Just because some people can't read between the lines and they need everything written out for them before they take the fucking hint, doesn't mean I actually have to sit there and explain my thought process about everything to them. I'll block for whatever reasons I want to. Bad vibes? Blocked. Bad takes on Hallowed Halls episodes? Blocked. Constantly trauma dumping on me randomly? Blocked. If someone blocks you without a warning, literally just get over it and move on. Don't throw a temper tantrum like a baby just because someone online doesn't like you. And especially don't try to come back on an alt and cry and yell at me about how mean I'm being or how I need to hear you out, because guess what that's gonna get you? Double blocked. Allow yourself comfort. Oh god. October 2025. Rare positive post from me. I ran into someone kind of interesting today. Like, literally ran into her, lol. I had my head down on the way home from the post office and didn't see her. She was chill about it, though, and laughed it off, and I thought that was going to be the end of a very embarrassing interaction, but she just kind of kept talking to me. And before I knew it, we were just kind of hanging out, and she walked me home. When we got to my building, she said she'd like to see me again sometime soon, and I said okay. Which kind of shocked me, lol. I'm not in the habit of hanging out with random people off the street, but I don't know. Something about her just felt like, I don't know how to put it. Intriguing, maybe? Like I want to know more about her. Maybe I finally made a friend for the first time in however many years. Or maybe all this was just a one off thing and I'll never see her ever again. Who knows? Murphy says, obviously block for whatever reason, but Sadie seems like the kind to block close friends out of her life and feel they don't deserve any closure or grace. How dare this close friend feel upset I block them? Obviously they're evil and obsessive. Yup. Hey Sadie, have you tried having a conversation with someone and trying to understand their point of view? No, I think it's easier to just block everybody who makes me mildly uncomfortable. Okay, so I'm feeling weird about yesterday now. She said she wanted to hang out again sometime and then just left. Like, she didn't give me her socials or even phone number or anything like that. So, how is she supposed to contact me? She knows where I live. Is she just gonna show up at my front door randomly? Literally, why did I let a stranger follow me home? LOL, that's so dumb. She could be like a serial killer or something. But also, I mean, she seemed nice. Conflict resolution. That doesn't help small beans grow. Why would I talk my issues through with someone when I could be focusing on selling acrylic charms on Etsy? October 2025. Sometimes I can't help but wonder, if I went missing, would anyone actually notice? Would anyone put out an alert? Would anyone look for me? How long would it take until someone realized I was gone? Would it be my neighbor who stopped hearing me through the apartment walls? My landlord when I missed payment? A customer after I failed to fulfill their order? My family that I only ever see anymore for weddings and funerals? And if I died? Would anyone bother showing up at my funeral? Would anyone even care enough to arrange one for me? Or would I slip away silently through the cracks of time, leaving the world as if I had never even existed in it at all? Not that I intend to die or go missing or anything. I don't, obs. I promise I'm fine. But those morbid thoughts still kind of just linger at the back of my mind late at night. I try to ignore it. I'm sure ignoring the issues will make them go away. That's how feelings and emotions work, huh? Just ignore it. It'll be fine. Now, well, Satie definitely isn't supposed to be me in any way. Some of the things in the writing, it is easier sometimes to write from a perspective that you have lived, you know? Or at least from a perspective of understanding this kind of person. And, sometimes late at night, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, especially artists, when the world is so how it is. There's this thing I've seen people talk about how artists are only ever remembered after they died, and nobody cares about them when they're alive. So, Satie, for all their insistence that they're doing fine and that they don't need other people, a friend would probably do them some good, huh? I wonder if the slasher in some ways represents the persistent normalized paranoia in America. October 2025. Yeah, so that girl I met the other day, she literally just showed up my door and asked if I was free, lol. I was, obviously, since all I ever do is sit at home and stare at my computer until I make a sale. It was kind of jarring, to be honest. I think the last time someone knocked on my door was ages ago. Someone was looking for their friend, and I had to tell them that they were at the wrong floor. I almost didn't bother answering the door at all today. She didn't seem to have anything in mind when she invited me out, so we sort of just started walking. Eventually, she told me she wasn't from around here, so I said I would show her around properly sometime. But today we kind of just wandered, to nowhere in particular. We hung out again today. I made good on my promise to show her around some. It's probably good for me to be getting out more like this, like psychologically or whatever, touching grass. We went to this little cafe I used to go to all the time, but haven't been to in ages. They have the best lattes. We talked mostly about older cartoons and stuff. She knows a lot about the original Maisie the Mutt history, which is really interesting. I've seen fan artists draw Maisie all goth or punk sometimes online, but figured it was kinda typical, turning innocent cutesy kids cartoon character edgy junk. Never knew there was an actual canon basis for those drawings. I only really know the Maisie cartoons I grew up with, so hearing that her origins are more spooky is cool. It might be fun to design some gothic Maisie acrylic charms now that Stenciline can't literally shoot me dead for it, lol. Even though we basically just met, it for some reason feels really easy talking to her. I kind of get the feeling that maybe she's been just as lonely as I have. She's someone who needs a friend, same as me. Maybe that's why we click so well. I don't know, is that cringe to say? Sadie experiences an emotion and immediately thinks, ew, that's cringe. Coffee? Yes, please. Maisie's in the public domain? Not quite, but you know what? Let's talk about Maisie. So, Sadie, someone who is alive right now as we speak, hopefully, someone who exists now and would have grown up in recent years, Sadie never gives us an age, but sometime they're probably in their 20s or somewhere around there. But they don't know anything about Maisie being a punk character, Maisie being spooky, Maisie having any association with darker themes. The Maisie cartoons they grew up with had absolutely none of that. Their Maisie is innocent and cutesy. You know, cute, sweet little, sweetest pup in America, Maisie. They don't know anything about the Maisie that we know. They also mention that they think it would be fun to make some Maisie fan merch because now Stenciling can't literally shoot them dead for it. So up until recently, it seems like copyright laws might have been pretty intensely enforced. Remember, kids, if you infringe on my IP, my lawyers will kill you in real life. That's modern Maisie. That's people's perspective of what Maisie is like now. Oh, but also there's another picture here. Oh, look at that. Look at that nice latte. There's someone else here too. So, I also did the pictures of the slasher, and photo editing is hard. This picture was taken in my basement by me alone. There was no other person. So this is my hand and this is also me. And I just like bashed two pictures together, added in a sort of cafe looking background, added in these lattes. These were empty cups. And then the slasher in the slasher's coat. It was quite a process editing these pictures, and I hope they feel believable. I always, whenever I do photo editing like this, I'm always worried that it looks super fake, but it's probably more believable if you don't know what the original raw images look like. I went to an actual cafe? Nope, just my basement. October 2025. Felt kind of embarrassed when she asked me what I do. Not in like a career way, but in terms of hobbies and stuff. It kind of made me realize that I don't really have any hobbies. I don't do stuff for fun. I only really draw when designing new merch or the odd commission. I don't draw for myself anymore. I used to have a music review blog and I'd go to local concerts and stuff, but I kind of just fell off of keeping up with that. Obviously, I didn't tell her about this blog, well, she doesn't need to see me whining about my problems all the time. These are my issues, and I don't want to dump all my problems on her and burden her with my sadness. She's my friend, not my therapist. But also, when I asked her the same question, she was low-key evasive, or at least vague. Or maybe I just didn't understand what she was trying to say. She has kind of a weird way of talking, and sometimes the meaning of her words feels like it goes over my head a bit. Anyways, I told her I like music, and she said she'd show me some cool indie stuff she knows. I got the download, so I'll put it here too. It's nice. I haven't really heard anything like it before. The Stars and Blue. This is the Stars and Blue music. We've heard it before. This is a remastered version that Murphy put together for the update. It's very lovely. The slasher gives Satie the Stars and Blue music. This is her directly giving them another chance of finding community, another glimpse into how. We also get another glimpse into how Satie thinks relationships work. They see their own bad feelings as a burden to hide away. They describe this blog as them whining about their problems, and that their personal issues are theirs alone to deal with. And that telling the slasher, their friend, anything about what's bothering them at any point in time would make them a burden to her. So, that's cool. That's definitely a great way to think about yourself. But yeah, we will be talking about the Stars and Blue later. And I say we, not just as me and you all in the chat, but I think we have a special guest who may be ready to hop in soon. Oh my goodness, who is this?
Hello?
It's the slasher. She's kind of going off the page here. Hold on. There we go. It's the slasher in kitty form. Wow. So, we finally figured out how to get me and Murphy on the stream at the same time, which I'm very excited about. This scritchy scratcher is real. Murphy indulged me by letting her make her a little cat sprite. So, how's it going, Murphy? How's your dinner? Hello?
Oh, sorry. It was good. I I made chicken teriyaki and stir fried noodles. It was great.
Ooh, yummy. Also, everyone in the chat, let me know if Murphy's volume is okay or if I need to adjust that at all. But we still got a lot more to get through, so I'll get back to reading. October 2025. God, Halloween sucks so bad. First time going out to a midnight movie showing in ages, and instantly I'm reminded that everyone in the world sucks, except for me. People getting drunk and yelling and trying to talk to me. Leave me alone. Stop talking during the movie. Couples making out in the back of the theater. Ew. Having to pay 30 real American dollars for a large popcorn and 2 drinks? What the hell? Whatever. At least the movie was good and my costume was fun. Kind of hard to tell if my friend liked the movie or not, though. She seemed unimpressed, which I guess is fair. It was a schlocky 80s slasher film. Kind of a dumb plot, but it's still classic. We didn't technically plan to meet up there. I just went and assumed she'd be there, which luckily she was. It would have been super embarrassing if she hadn't showed up, though. I don't know, something about going to a movie alone. It just feels like everyone would be judging me. Halloween sucks. Boo, did I scare you? So,
Um,
Sadie. Oop,
oh, sorry.
you go.
Okay. It's funny. Um, Despite really loving October, I think Halloween is like the one of my least favorite. Well, I like the festivities and stuff, but it definitely is like one of my least favorite days of the year at the same time. Um, just because October is ending, you know?
Yeah, I get
Um,
that.
I'm like, and then if I don't spend it doing exactly what I want to do, I'm like, now I have to, I failed Halloween. I failed October. I got an F in October.
Yeah, there's always a lot of pressure around holidays. Even something that's supposed to be, I guess, more fun or more chill than Halloween. Like Halloween, there's still that pressure to enjoy yourself. And if even one bad thing goes wrong, it's like, well, I guess my entire spooky season is terrible now. And also,
Yeah. Um,
with how early celebrations start with like corporations and stuff, I just got tired of it by the time the actual day gets
mhm.
there.
Let me think. I think the slasher likes horror movies, but and I think she might have even enjoyed this movie, but the slasher is not sometimes like when she's watching something, and I do this too. Even if she's enjoying it and like emotionally moved by it, she just has a very flat base when engaging with art and media. Um, it's like that one meme from that one superhero TV show um with Homelander, except in the slasher's case, she's actually enjoying it.
Mhm. When I was writing it, I was thinking that she was thinking, "Oh, I could do this better" when she was watching the movie.
Yeah, she's like, this is child's play.
Maybe that's what they were
This
watching.
is a yeah. I think the slasher would like child's play. Um, she'd be a big fan of Jason, and Freddy Krueger, obviously. He'd love Leslie Vernon, Rise of the Serial Killer. I mean, the Rise of Leslie Vernon, um, which is a great deconstruction of the slasher genre, which features Robert Englund, um, playing one of the characters. The Children of the Corn isn't a slasher movie. The Children of the Corn is
The Children of the
like an
Corn is an experience.
AI-generated horror movie series. Like if you told an AI to generate a horror movie series, it would make Children of the Corn.
Oh god. Why was there 11 movies? I don't know, man.
Apparently they were dirt cheap to make.
They
This
gotta
is
be,
just
because
what I've heard.
they were not making
And
their
they
money back.
made enough back from them that they could justify making them and then just putting them in bargain bins.
For those who don't know, Murphy and I and some of our friends, a few days ago, we spent 3 days watching all 11 Children of the Corn movies in a row. They got worse and worse each time. Oh my god. Okay, so what do my notes say about this post? Sadie is so judgmental, yet at the same time is very anxious about other people judging them, to the point that they seemingly don't even leave the house because they're scared of what other people might be thinking about them. They think it would be embarrassing to go to the movies alone when, like, that's a normal thing to do. But going to the next one, we're now into November 2025. To be honest, I've never been interested in history much. It's just a bunch of old dead people killing each other, and I don't really care about that stuff. But my friend said we should go to a museum and that it would be interesting, so I said okay. I don't know that many museums around here, so we just went to the Museum of the American West. At first, I suggested we go to the Maritime Museum because pirates are cool, but she got like this weird look on her face, so I said one of the only other museums I could remember off the top of my head. And yeah, when we got there, it was kind of just a lot of people killing each other back and forth over land and whatever. I did end up thinking the Cowboy Gallery was kind of neat, but she didn't seem to like it much. Guess the museum trip was a bust. Kind of worried I'm messing things up. I don't know, I haven't really had a close IRL friend in an embarrassingly long amount of time. I feel out of practice. I hope she doesn't think I'm lame now. For all of these things that Sadie is mentioning, places, the price of popcorn, I did try to do my research to make sure those are accurate and those are real places. Cowboy it. So yeah, $30 for popcorn. That's a real price. What's next? Having someone to actually go places with makes me feel a lot less awkward. I moved here years ago, but never took the time to do all the touristy sightseeing stuff because I was busy and also seemed lame. Like, I moved here because there's a lot more opportunities as an artist, and it sort of felt like if I did the cringy tourist stuff, it would mark me as an outsider. Like, it didn't belong and wouldn't ever fit in. Or, like, it would make me vapid and superficial. Like, I wasn't taking this step in my life seriously, and nobody in the industry would take me seriously. I don't know. Part of me does still roll my eyes and think it's cringe and dumb, but at least it's kind of fun when I have someone coming along with me, and we can at least make fun of the dumb things and the tourists together. And also, I ended up not even working in the industry I was aiming for anyways, so whatever. Who cares what they think? LOL. Go frog yourself. I think this Blinky is very funny. But yeah, this is another example of Sadie thinking that, or worrying too much about what other people think, and in turn that being reflected in how they think about others and how they judge other people. They're not even willing to do things that they might want to because they're worried what other people would think. Also crazy coming from the I want to go see pirates person. A lot of piracy was rich people bankrolling theft or of other countries. Yep. Murphy has mentioned this in her stream, but Sadie is painfully white. November 2025. The weather's been kind of terrible lately. I don't mind rain or thunderstorms, and I guess it's not that unusual for November, but still, now that I'm like going places and doing things and hanging out with my friend, it would be nice to have some less wet weather. But at least rainy nights are good for staying in and watching scary movies. Janet comes over like every other day at this point, so we've been going through some older horror films. I like the ones with the big monsters, but she's more into slasher films. I don't know if anyone actually keeps up with this blog anymore, since it's kind of just turning into my personal daily life diary, which is probably boring to read. But if you have any movie recommendations, let me know, and I'll check them out. I feel kind of bad when my friend leaves for the night, though, walking on her own in the dark and the rain. I have this irrational fear that because she's so tall, she's gonna get struck by lightning. I would let her stay over, but I don't have a spare bed or room, and my couch is kind of small. Horror junkie, I pirate movies. Probably dumb question, but I wonder if the slasher has an effect on the weather around her. Like with the snow in the beginning and now the extreme rain. She does seem to always show up when there's bad weather, doesn't she? November 2025. It was finally nice out, so Janet and I went to the gardens today. The fall leaves made everything all orange and red and warm, even though they're technically dying. I feel like the city is a lot of concrete and glass and artificial man-made stuff, so being in a space of just nature was refreshing. There aren't enough trees in LA, and no, I don't think palm trees count as real trees. I brought my dusty sketchbook out with us, first time I'd seen the light of day in ages. Did some life drawing of the people around us. Felt good. Part of me wanted to, like, hold her hand while we were walking, but I don't know, it might be weird. She's always wearing these mismatched leather gloves, like, all the time, so I don't know if she's a germaphobe, or some kind of sensory thing, or maybe a skin condition or something. But I don't want to overstep her boundaries, so I just didn't do anything. We
That
got some
actually
drawings.
is a plot point of Slushy Slasher. Um, the reason she wore her gloves in the Stars in Blue. But with the slasher, I think it's more just that her clothing is a part of her body.
Mm-hmm. And from this drawing, that Slashy, no, Sadie, I just combined their names. Sadie did. The slasher still looks like what we know the slasher to look like with the shadow face, the slashy slisher. November 2025. I always feel kind of bad for animals in zoos. I know zoos do important work for like science and research, conservation and stuff, but still, sometimes the animals look so bored in their cages, stuck in their cages. Also, like a quarter of the exhibits were empty, and probably more than half of the food places were closed. And I forgot to bring a water bottle, so I had to spend like $10 for fucking water. There's also a school group there, and I try to have a little more patience with kids than I do other people, but still, they can be so loud and annoying sometimes. Mostly I just kind of judge the teachers though. Like, ma'am, one of your students trying to throw rocks through the fences. Maybe you should, like, do something about that. Kind of just tried to avoid the group altogether so we didn't have to hear them yelling dumb jokes at each other. I wanted to get a picture of Janet next to the giraffes because I swear sometimes it seems like she's just as tall as some of them. But she's not much of a fan of having her picture taken, which, that's fair. Me too. The gift shop was also super overpriced, but the plushies were cute. They had like a million of each animal on every wall. Caved in and got a panda. She was just too cute. Look at that. The slasher and the giraffe. So Sadie mentions that sometimes the slasher seems just as tall as the giraffes. And like I said earlier, maybe the slasher looks different every time you look at her. Maybe sometimes she's taller, sometimes she's a little bit shorter, sometimes she's got slightly different colored coat.
Every time you look at her, you find new things to love about her.
Exactly.
It's like a beautiful gem.
Slasher gem. Does that imply that there's also slasher slop? Here's a giraffe. I think it's funny they have blue tongues. Originally, I did, for this picture, I wanted to get a giraffe plushie, but the one giraffe plushie that I have is buried somewhere deep in storage and I wasn't able to get it out, sadly. So there's a panda instead. And Sadie's got a bunch of pins. They've got an American flag pin. They've got, oh, look at that, a kill the conversation pin. And a hamburger, because they're American. Oh, also this coat. The pictures of the slasher wasn't something we had planned. I was at the thrift store for a different reason, and I was like, "Hey Murphy, does this coat look like it would work for the slasher?" And she said, "Yeah." So, kind of just luck that that happened. Oh, but what did my notes say? Did I skip something? Oh, yeah. So, Satie might have that white person problem where they sympathize more with animals than they do other human beings. Satie being white is very much intentional, and it directly impacts their mindset about everything. Like, Murphy talked about it on her stream, but Satie is painfully white and doesn't seem to be able to see past their own experiences. Yeah, like they prefer the animals instead of the kids. While they try to be patient with the kids, it doesn't seem like Satie is a very patient person at all. They feel worse for the animals in a zoo than they do their fellow people not being able to afford bills. But the next one. I was cleaning out some old stuff the other day and found my old roller skates. I forgot I even had them. Brought them from home when I moved here, but I never really got to use them much. Easier to just take the Ruby. They still fit fine though, so I found a roller rink not too far away and asked if Janet wanted to come with, which thankfully she said yes. The rollerway kind of sucked when we got there though. Way too crowded and loud, and the music playlist was all mainstream trash. It smelled gross, like feet and rubber and stale nachos. Janet started feeling really bad, like sick or nauseous or something, so we left and just found a skate park to hang out at for a bit. But it felt good to use my skates again. I don't think I've done any skating since I moved to LA. I always kind of feel weird out in public, like I'm worried people are watching and judging me. But with my roller skates, it's like I'm moving too fast for any of that to matter. Also, Janet is like really bad at skating. So much so that one of the times she tripped over, she fully fell on top of me. Not that I minded. I didn't really expect her to suck so much, considering she moves in like this kind of very deliberate and suave sort of way normally. I guess the addition of wheels throws all that out the window. It was kind of cute, like watching a baby giraffe try to walk for the first time. But I shouldn't be too hard on her, since she said it was her first time ever trying to skate. On the Slasher's Innards page, which we haven't gotten to yet, but if you remember, there's mention of a roller rink, which is not the same as this one, and is not the same as the one in Twinvale. But in the Slasher's Innards, in that tiny little sentence, it mentions Jane's feelings towards roller rinks. Vaguely, it says she met a friend at a roller rink, and now that friendship is no more, and it's an association that she has. But since Jane's feelings towards roller rinks probably aren't great anymore, that's kind of being channeled through the slasher here. Which is why she got, like, physically ill just from stepping into a roller rink. November 2025. Okay, why did no one tell me the science center is actually kind of fun? I don't know, I just sort of assumed it was aimed at kids, and yeah, parts of it definitely are, but it was still really fun. There was a bunch of different exhibits about sports, ecosystems, space, physics, all sort of nerdy stuff. Then there was an exhibit about the science of fear that was all interactive and had challenges and stuff. There was a part with animal brain slices, which was really gross, and a giant interactive human man thing showing how the body responds to fear on like a physical and psychological level. I made the mistake of telling Janet I'm scared of heights, and she made me get in this contraption thing that's supposed to help people get over a fear of falling. I don't think it helped much, but at least she got a good laugh out of how scared I got. But yeah, Janet really seemed to like the fear exhibit, and said it might even help her with her work or something. Actually, I don't remember what she said her job is. Would it be too weird to ask now? Probably. Oops. Does that make me a bad friend if I don't remember what she does for work? I'm just a little guy. Science. Speaking of little guys, hey Telly, what are you doing here? I guess it makes sense for him to be at the science center. Still kind of odd and random though, don't you think? People really disliked Telly ever since the World Fair if they put him in an exhibit called Science of Fear. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? This art is so cute. I just want to look at it. God, we gotta make posters. There's so much art. So much good art. November 2025. I find myself wanting to come to this dumb blog less and less in recent weeks. I don't know, I just feel like I have less to complain about, and instead just wanting to blog about my regular everyday life. I've been spending more time out of the apartment, hanging out with my friend. My online shop's doing pretty well. Life's pretty okay. Speaking of all that stuff, she's been staying over pretty frequently, even when I'm not doing anything particularly interesting. Like, I'll just be packing orders, and she's kinda just over on the couch watching me. She'll randomly walk in or out of my apartment whenever she feels like it. Sometimes she brings me takeout. It's sort of like having a very tall cat. I don't mind though. It's nice not to be alone. Time is on my side. There she is. Kitty slasher. This was just an excuse for me to draw the slasher as a cat. December 2025. Why do feelings have to be so complicated? Ugh. Why couldn't I just make a friend and be satisfied with that? Why couldn't it be someone else? I want to ask her out, but there's just so many factors and I don't know about that it feels like maybe I shouldn't bother and just let things be how they are. Is she even single? Is she even queer? I mean, I assume the answer was yes to both of those, but technically I never asked, and we've never really talked about it that much. I'm worried that asking her out on like a date will jeopardize our friendship, and I don't want to lose her. But also, I don't think another person has made me feel so happy. At least not for a really long time. And I don't know if I'll ever meet someone like her again, so it's also like if I don't ask her out, then I might regret it for a really long time. But I was fine on my own being single for so long. It's also kind of making me feel weird in a way I don't know if I can properly describe. Like, I would be giving something up if I let her fully into my life this way, losing some of my individuality, maybe. I've always been very independent and very self sufficient and never needed anything from anybody, but now it's like, I don't know, it's like she kind of just showed up in my life and I accepted that and have adapted to it since then. But if I ask her out, then that would mean I am fully inviting her into my life, like potentially permanently. My life would probably definitely change forever. There was some post I saw online at some point about like the consequences of inviting people into your life or something like that, but I can't remember the details. Being vulnerable like that and putting my emotions and my heart out on display for another person is scary to me. What if she laughs at me? What if she thinks I'm weird? What if I've just been reading too much into things between us and she was actually just being friendly and she thinks I'm gross for thinking about her like that? What if she's not into me? Lesbian panic.
Um, couple things. One, it kind of makes me raise my eyebrow that she's the type of person who uses gay panic, lesbian panic, um, without realizing what that term actually means, like
Mm-hmm.
historically. Um, and then she kind of references Jane's zine on invitations, um,
Mm-hmm.
and the consequences of letting people into your life.
Even if Sadie doesn't remember Jane, or doesn't seem to remember Jane super well, something that Jane said stuck with them this entire time, in the back of their mind. Also, Sadie's mindset is very individualistic, but in order to be part of a community or make meaningful connections with others, you have to care about them. You have to care about other people. Our next post. Never mind about that last post, lol. Turns out she is very into me. We're going out on a proper date in the morning, but I'm just like really, really happy. I feel happy and seen and cared about. I feel loved. I don't think I remember the last time I felt loved, which normally saying that, or I guess typing it out, would make me feel really pathetic and lame and cringy, but for once I don't care about that. For a long while, I kind of didn't feel like a real person. I complained about it plenty of times in my posts, but I was just so lonely. It felt like I was a ghost in the world, just sort of aimlessly drifting through life without any real attachments or connections or impact. Janet changed that somehow. Being able to connect with her has made me feel alive again, made me feel like a real person. When I'm with her, my heart beats faster. I feel more awake and alert, and it's such an obvious sign that I'm alive and real and here in this moment with her. She's so amazing. She's alluring and funny and hot and unique and charismatic and hot and confident, and also, did I mention hot? She's traveled all over the country, and she has so many interesting stories about the places she's been and the sights she's seen. I can tell she's got some sort of mysterious past, and of course, everyone is entitled to their own secrets. But still, it seems to have made her such a complex and multifaceted woman. It's just something about her that feels, there's just something about her that feels so magnetic and fascinating. Being close to her, it kind of feels the same way the air does just before a thunderstorm. I've never met another person quite like her. It's nice to have someone I'll get to wake up next to in the morning. Love struck. I am loved. I'm glad that Sadie also agrees the slasher is incredibly hot. It's canon. What can I say? And yeah, being near the slasher feels like being around a thunderstorm. Another reference to bad weather. Dear Diary, since that's basically what this blog has devolved into at this point. Today, Janet and I went to get coffee and walk in the park. Not really any different than what we normally do, but now I don't feel anxious about holding her hand or staring at her lovingly for prolonged periods of time. She helped me carry some orders to the post office today, too, and I think the mail guy was surprised to actually see me with another person, lol. I don't know, I guess none of this is very interesting to write about, but still, I feel like I want to document it anyways, because these little moments feel important to me. They make me happy. I guess I kind of have a habit of only focusing on the negative side of things. People that annoy me, bad stuff that happens to me, random online comments that piss me off. None of that feels important anymore. It doesn't bother me as much. When someone comments something stupid on my posts, instead of seething and fixating and ruminating on their words for hours and hours, I just show it to Janet and we laugh about how stupid the person is, and then I forget all about it. I literally don't care. I know in my last post I said I don't feel like bitching about random people as much anymore, but you know what? The people of LA test me every day. They should make it illegal to shove phones in people's faces while asking them questions and recording them without asking permission first. No more on the street podcasts. Actually, can we just ban podcasters altogether? The only podcast I bothered listening to stopped posting months ago, and everything else has just been obnoxious to listen to. I hope that supposed serial killer on the news everyone is talking about gets them all. Actually, about that, I don't know how much I really believe there's a serial killer. I mean, people are always getting murdered or disappearing here. It's not that different than usual. I think it's just the news fear mongering, to be honest. I was talking about it with Janet, and she asked me if I was scared, but like, not really. I don't think I'm interesting enough as a person for a serial killer to notice me. Or even if they did, I now have a very tall, somewhat strange, occasionally kind of scary butch following me around everywhere, so I feel pretty safe. Final girl. Look at them together, wow. Kill the conversation and Vamp mentioned. Kill the conversation, yes. But
I actually think on that topic, I'm not sure what would be a good point to insert it, so I'm doing it here. I think the vamp and the slasher would get along fabulously. Um, they are both digital, modern, characters. They're both centered around horror and violence. Um, and the vamp, even though we've only hinted at this, that it might feel disgust towards its creators. It and the slasher would actually get along very well. They'd have some very interesting conversations and they'd agree with each other on their thoughts about horror and killers. So basically I'm saying their relationship would be like Zoomer child and grand grandma maybe or cool older aunt.
Grandma Slasher.
Oh man, there was in the fan art server, someone drew the slasher with old lady features, and I was like, damn, smoke show.
Yeah. The supposed serial killer mentioned here, though. It could be the vamp, or it could be the slasher. They both have been in LA, haven't they? I think. Yeah, they've both been in LA. Around the same time, too. Maybe it's both of them. Maybe they ran into each other. Maybe they got coffee at some point. Alright. December 2025. We went to an art museum today. I wanted to do some research for a new shop drop I'm planning, lol. The museum I was thinking of going to apparently got shut down like 2 years ago. Yikes, yeah, it's probably good that I've been getting out of the house more the last 2 months. I am way behind on what's happening in the world around me. So, anyway, we pivoted and went to a different one. Honestly, I feel a lot of art galleries are all exactly the same. Paintings and statues on bright white walls with exposed ceilings showing off all the pipes and wires and ugly parts of the building for whatever reason. We kind of just wandered through the exhibits until I found what I was looking for so I could take pictures and notes. While I was doing that, though, at some point, Janet wandered off from me, which, yeah, fair, I was not paying attention to her, but also. This is embarrassing to admit, but I kind of started panicking. I've gotten so used to having her near me when I'm out, I guess I've just been using her as a lifeline. And without her next to me, or in my eye line, suddenly the world felt a lot more. I don't know what word would fit. Sinister? Malicious? Like something could go wrong at any moment, and I would be trapped, stranded in this maze like gallery alone. What if the building collapsed and the ceiling fell on top of me, crushing me to death? What if I'm actually not allowed in this part of the building and the security guards take me to jail? What if one of these other people in here is a serial killer and follows me to some corner no one else can see to gut me? What if I lose my phone and wallet and train pass and I can't get on the Ruby back home and I'm just stuck out on the street and I don't know how to walk home from here? What if the animals in these paintings come to life and tear me into pieces? I know none of these are very rational fears, especially the last one, lol. But still, it was just like immediate panic and fear, and I didn't know if I should walk around aimlessly and try to find Janet or just stay where I was and hope she came back. But also, what if she left me here forever and she hates me and she's never coming back? But in the end, all of that anxiety and blinking back tears and heart beating so fast I thought I was going to die and shaking and feeling nauseous was unwarranted because Janet wandered back over to me eventually. I feel kind of pathetic for being so clingy. I'm probably annoying her, taking up so much of her time.
I like I like how it describes the slasher as wandering back over to her like she was a cat sniffing around the gallery.
Yeah, so this part, I like seeing how different people interpret Sadie's character, especially this part, because, and like I said before, you are free to have whatever interpretations you want. What I'm about to say is not necessarily the one true canon answer to what is going on, but this is what was in my mind when I was writing this. So I have really severe agoraphobia. It's incredibly hard for me to leave the house, especially on my own. I almost always have to have someone with me whenever I'm out in public. And if that person leaves me at any point, I freak out. So that's kind of what inspired Satie's kind of little panic attack here. But I think reading Satie as someone who has agoraphobia would be fair, but that's not necessarily the one truth. Because I feel like agoraphobia is something that can really creep up on you without you even really noticing. It's just like you start going outside less and less and less, and then it gets too scary, and then you just stop. Agoraphobia, oh yeah, for people who don't know, it's well, it can be described a lot of ways, I think, but generally it's like a lot of people reduce it down to a fear of leaving the house, which that is a part of it, but it's a lot more complicated than that. Like, it's more about a fear of not being in a controlled situation. Like, if you're out of the house, no, most of the time it's like the house is like a safe location, but going out of the house, going somewhere new, going somewhere you've never been before, is an unsafe situation where anything could happen. And if you're not prepared for it, then it's like that's kind of what it is. It's a lot more complicated than people seem to realize. But anyways, we're almost done here. We just got 2 more posts left. So, December 2025. I've been thinking now that I've managed to kind of break out of my shell a little and make one new friend. Girlfriend? I don't know. We haven't discussed labels really. Maybe I could try reaching out to other people too. Some of my old friends from the area, maybe, or the mutuals I see regularly at the other Artist Alley booths at cons. I mean, Janet is great, of course. I like her a lot, and spending time with her has made me feel more confident and happy and stuff. But I think depending on only one other person might not be good for, like, codependency or whatever. And with more friends, we could do more stuff. Like, Christmas is coming up. I don't have family to spend it with, and I get the feeling Janet doesn't either, with the way she kind of dances around the subject. But with the bigger friend group, we could have a big holiday party and spend it all together. That probably sounds really dumb. I don't know. I'm just starting to feel like maybe I don't actually hate all people. Maybe people can be good and kind and fun to be around. I always kind of rolled my eyes at humans are social creatures, but I guess it's true. Let's be friends.
She was so fucking close to getting out.
So
She
close.
was so she had the epiphany.
We got this nice drawing of what Satie might imagine a future with friends would look like. This one wasn't intentionally supposed to look like Penny, but it did kind of end up looking like her, huh? I don't know who this guy is, though. But this is just what Satie wants. Are we, guys? Is everyone emotionally prepared for what's about to happen? December 2025. I was stupid for ever thinking I could trust someone. I was right all along to think that everyone is only out to get something from you. I feel so fucking dumb for all of this. Spending like 10 weeks of my life on her, all for it to have been a big fucking waste of time. I could have spent that time doing more important things, like working, instead of having stupid coffee dates and sleepovers and walks in the park. Why did I not just ignore her that first time she tried to talk to me? I ignore everyone else. I feel hollow. I was just telling her about how I was thinking of reaching out to old friends and mutuals to try and be more connected. She said I should reach out to Jane. I was confused, of course, because I don't know anyone named Jane, until she reminded me that actually I used to be mutuals with them on an art forum a few years ago. I kind of forgot about the whole situation, but yeah, Jane zine or whatever they used to draw like Maisie Butt fan art and scary cartoons and stuff. I remember I had to block them because they were super clingy and kept talking to me like we were BFFs when like I barely knew them. We were just art mutuals, but they kept trauma dumping all their personal problems on me out of nowhere. So, anyways, obviously, I was like, why would I reach out to someone I've never actually met who made me uncomfortable and crossed my boundaries multiple times and that I blocked years ago? Janet told me that I need to go help Jane and that it was my responsibility to make things right or whatever. She told me the reason she was actually even here in the city in the first place was because of Jane. So it's like the whole reason you even made friends with me was just because this other person wanted to get to me. You didn't actually want to be my friend or care about me. I was just a stepping stone to you for this other random person to get something out of. How would I even help someone I've never even met in person before? Even if I wanted to help, I don't know what Jane looks like or where they live or anything. And what do you expect me to do about someone else's living or financial or whatever situation? I don't even know what help I was supposedly going to provide. She didn't elaborate at all. It all just kind of hit me like a brick all at once. Janet had literally never once mentioned this Jane person before, but now she reveals that all along, the entire time we've known each other, she was just trying to, I guess, make me go help them somehow. Did any of our time together even mean anything to her? Did I even mean anything? I don't understand any of this. Why me? I'm literally nobody. I don't even fully remember what I was saying, but I kind of just started crying and yelling at her, telling her to leave and never come back, that she could go fuck herself, that I was better off without her, that I wished I never met her, that if this Jane girl was so important, then Janet could go help them herself. I don't think I've ever been so upset or angry or heartbroken in my life. It felt like all my emotions were scaled up by 1,000 and my heart was about to explode out of my chest. It felt like I'd been stabbed in the back. I really felt like I was going to die. She barely even said anything, barely even moved. She just watched me screaming and sobbing and throwing pillows at her until I exhausted myself and collapsed on the bed crying. And then she held me, and she said something to me I don't even want to write down or remember or acknowledge. And then she left. Now I'm just alone, exhausted, numb to everything in my dark apartment that still smells like her cigarette smoke. It feels like she took some part of me with her when she left, something in my heart, the thing that lets me connect with others. I don't want to see her or talk to her ever again. Even if I did, I have no way of contacting her or finding her. No last name, no family, no phone number, no social media or home address. Janet probably isn't even her real name. I don't know if I'll ever be able to talk to another person ever again. It feels impossible. It feels like even if I wanted to, I wouldn't be able to. Like now there's something terribly different between me and everyone else. I'm missing something important that they all have, and no matter what I do, I'll never get it back. I got her these fancy new leather gloves, since hers seemed so worn out, that I was going to give her for Christmas. What do I do with them now? I'm deleting this blog. I don't want the memories. I might even move apartments. I don't want to be here if she does come back. Not that I think she will. So, the slasher doesn't kill Satie, but she does seem to take something from them. Satie says it themselves. Where is it? The thing that lets me connect with others. In my mind, when I was writing this, it's like, if Sadie wasn't going to use it, then the slasher might as well take it from them. So, I find it
Or
interesting. I find it interesting how Sadie said they would delete the blog, but the blog's still here. The slasher talks about that on her page where it's snowing, about how this blog, it probably was deleted, but this website, the Pendog website, the slasher mentioned it briefly, and so it's here now. Do you have any thoughts about this, Murphy?
yeah, another possible interpretation was the slasher being like, well, if relationships are hurting you so much, then I'll take away the thing that lets you make relationships so you don't get hurt anymore.
I like that. Alright, I think I covered everything on this page that I wanted to say. And it only took me 2 hours. Oh boy. But where is the slasher leading us next? Next up is the art gallery. I personally don't have much to say about this page since I wasn't super involved with it. Murphy did the writing for this page, and someone else did the art who wishes to remain anonymous, but did a very, very lovely job with it. But Murphy did have something she wanted me to show you guys. Where is it? So if you've read through these articles, then you'll know that Mauve mentions Flea, the painting that she's in love with. This is some older art from Murphy, and technically speaking, none of these things I'm showing you right now are canon necessarily, but this is Flea. Then I have some other art of the Thinlings, the painting fairies. I have some more Flea. And some more of the Thinlings. Would you like to talk about them, Murphy?
I feel like I talked a lot about them in the last stream, but the Thinlings are very much like my homage to Al Columbia, um, a American horror cartoonist, um, most famous for his works Pim and Francie, The Golden Bear Days. Um, and I always kind of felt unsure how to fit them into the world of Pendog, or their origins. And technically, they don't get origins. We just see them relocating from this museum, but I'm pretty happy with how we incorporated them into the world.
Mm-hmm. I'm happy they're here. I like Flea a lot. She's so cute. Let's see, if I take a sledgehammer to the gallery here, we can also see all of the beautiful slasher paintings Murphy made. So there's still a layer. Yep. Oh no, uh-oh. Too far. Nope. Uh-oh. Well, I can't figure out how to get to see them better, but look at these. Um, the little, my little talk sprite costume is a reference to the little fairies in this painting. They're not really characters or anything, but I think they're cute. Alright, next we're going over to the art college. So on this page, there are a variety of zines that are using Jane's name, but were not actually made by her. These zines were actually kind of the most difficult thing for me to write for Pendog, like in total so far, because in keeping on theme with Jane's style of per zine, it meant that I had to get personal with my writing. And in general, I'm someone who prefers to keep my personal life private, but I think it was a good exercise for me to be able to do these and to put them up in such a public way. I wanted to make them all unique and different enough from each other to be interesting, so I played around with a few different things. And we'll go through them, but before that, the little sprites that I did of the art market. In this one here, you can see the slasher's hand just kind of peeking out, putting something in this girl's bag. This is supposed to be the slasher zine that we get to read later. And also this is a little mazy looking bag. I just thought it was cute. And on each of these little market tables, there's something relating to the slasher. Like here, there is a framed picture or print or something of one of Jane's paintings of the slasher. On this table, there's a little clay slasher that was made by Toddy Oddie, who also did the rest of the little clay creations in the encapsulation video. And on this one, there's a felt slasher keychain sort of thingy that I made. But she's everywhere. She's everywhere. She's haunting this horrible, horrible man. Alright, I don't know if I'm gonna read this one just because honestly I don't have a whole lot to say about it. Out of the 4 zines I did, I think this one might be the weakest, but it's all real. These are all things I still have. All real experiences and people I met and did things with, you know. This one might be the most visually similar to one of Jane's zines, but also it's purple. Jane doesn't use purple paper, does she? And she also doesn't use this font. Jane always uses the same font for everything, so definitely not done by her. This page makes me happy because it actually got me to try and make a zine at school in my free time. I wanted to leave it at school for someone to find it and take it home or something, and I left it there for exactly 1 day before I took it back. But I actually had lots of fun making it, so I'm grateful for this segment. Oh, that's so cute. Everyone should be making more zines. Everyone makes zines right now. It's interesting that you see this as the weakest because I related to it so much. It hit me very hard as someone who kind of hoards little bits and pieces of people from my past. That makes me glad to hear. I'm glad you're able to relate to it. You don't need a printer to make a zine. You can make one by hand if you want to. The Seek community one we'll get to later. That was not printed out. I just glued everything straight on a regular old piece of paper. A game of telephone. Can I tell you? What is it? Did you hear? She told me. Well, I heard. Someone said, don't tell, but he said that. She heard. They heard. I thought. She said, it was. He said they did. I think I heard. Okay, so my friend said, do you think? I think she said, it was. I heard that. So it was it that they did it? I remember. Did you really? I never said that. This one, it's pretty obvious what it's about, but it's about gossip and how it spreads and gets warped with each person's lips, or in this case, I guess, phone speaker that it passes through. And that relates back to Jane in a way, because from what we've heard from other people, we only ever hear from other people about her. We get to read her zines, but we haven't heard anything from her that wasn't something she wrote years ago at this point. And then our next one, Open Your Heart. I grew up in an environment where it was easier to be uncomfortable in order to keep the peace than to speak up for myself when I was hurt. If I was hit, if my things were broken, if I was yelled at, if my feelings were hurt, it didn't matter. I was just told to be mature, to turn the other cheek, to let it go. Grow up and get over it. Getting angry or upset in any way only resulted in me being punished more. Other people's emotions took priority over my own, regardless of who it was or what had happened. So I learned to just shut up and deal with it when someone made me uncomfortable. When my friends made jokes at my expense, I laughed with them. When the guy I wasn't interested wanted to kiss me, I said okay. When my coworkers wanted me to do their work for them, I did it. This put me in a lot of situations where I was upset, angry, hurt, or otherwise uncomfortable, but I would always swallow those feelings and come up with some explanation as to why I was actually in the wrong for feeling that way at all. The internalized knowledge of expressing emotion equals being reprimanded didn't just make it hard to express when I was uncomfortable, though. It also made it hard for me to be honest about my feelings in any situation, even if it's positive. It made it incredibly hard to open up to people, to make friends or form deeper relationships. It made it hard for me to care about anyone at all. In order to not get hurt, I would keep everyone at arm's length. Never let anyone get too close, or else they might hurt me. Or worse, I might hurt them. It's very easy to let people slip out of your life when you don't let yourself feel strongly about anything. When you don't tell them when they upset you, or when you don't tell them that you care about them. Friends of years and years slipped away silently without so much as a goodbye, and I simply let it happen. And since I was too scared to open myself up to new people, no new friendships came to replace the old ones. Until I met her. A woman who wore her heart on her sleeve, whose heart was bigger than anyone I'd ever met before. As someone who'd gone years of only allowing myself to feel muted, polite, socially acceptable, pleasant feelings, seeing someone be so open and so honest about how she felt was eye-opening. She might not have always expressed her feelings in the most graceful of ways, but she didn't hide them. And when she asked me not to hide mine from her either, I had an important choice to make. I think I chose well. It gets a little easier with practice. I have people in my life that I don't want to let slip away, and as scary as that is, it involves being honest about my feelings, the good and the bad. You have to open up your heart in order to let people into it. And sometimes you do get hurt, and sometimes you end up hurting them. But when you take your time to talk things through, there's a lot more good that can come of it. It's a lot better than letting them leave just because I was scared of getting hurt or upsetting them. I have a lot of people I care about now, and I try to make sure I tell them any chance I get. So this one is also about me and the things I had to learn to be more open and be better at communicating. So this is me, and this beautiful woman is Murphy. Um, I met Murphy when I was at pretty much the lowest point of my entire life, or like kind of just barely getting out of that. And she was one of the first new friends I made in years. And it's not like we became best friends right away, but having someone who made an effort to get to know me and include me in things, it really helped me immensely. And I didn't know a whole lot about BPD before meeting Murphy, but I've I've looked into it, I've learned a lot, and I've educated myself. um Sorry, catching up on the chat. I might have to print out a little version of this and keep it in my wallet. Really? That's really sweet. Pretty early on into our friendship, Murphy stressed the importance of open and honest communication and that it was something very important to her. And so I knew that if I wanted to be a good friend, I was going to have to do the very scary thing of confronting and communicating my feelings, even the bad or uncomfortable ones. It's a two-way street. Part of good communication means listening to others and trying to understand their perspective too. Murphy makes me feel understood. She can always seem to tell when I'm slipping into these old bad habits, and she's very kind and very patient with me. I'm very grateful to have met her. So, even if it's scary to tell someone that you care about that they hurt you, it's important to do that. And if someone that's important to you tells you that you did something that hurt them, it's important to think about that and to talk about it and to recognize how and why that happened and how you can do better in the future. Murphy, do you have any thoughts?
No, I don't want to interject.
I was kind of nervous to show this one to you. I didn't know how you would feel about it, but I'm glad it was able to resonate with a lot of people. And then the last one that we have, seek community. Tired of community? Tired of living in harmony with others each day? Want to spend less time dragging out the abuse bestowed on you by birthday parties, volunteering, film screenings, festivals, gifts, hanging out, concerts, hosting events, and love? It's time for you to try removing and replacing your friends. It's so easy. No more basketball, volleyball, art, tennis, swimming, music, comfort, community, support, theater, competition, or kindness. Friends can be too complicated, intense, infuriating, dramatic, high maintenance, a constant source of trouble. You'll never talk it out to resolve your stress or search for solutions. So let's wrap it up. It's a healthier approach than getting involved in communities or friendships face to face. Friends are more than just a commitment, they're also a risk. Avoid potentially troublesome matters. Invest in protecting your peace of mind. Enhance your life. You do your thing and never stress about being inconvenienced ever again. No fuss, no network, no change, only me time. Did you know the heart connects the rest of the world? You've made a commitment. Appreciate and care for your community, and it will take care of you. These caring moments fill us with joy and purpose. So this is the one I was talking about that's made up of magazine clippings. It's hard to see under all the text. The text kind of ended up taking up everything. You can see it here and here. But all the background pictures of everything is pictures of multiple people, but everyone except for one person has been blacked out. Yeah, I think the message of this one is pretty self-explanatory. What else is on this page? Oh yeah, the theater. So, the sprites. I have a lot of fun when I get to do these sprites. Murphy just lets me do whatever, pretty much. So, thinking about the costumes for this was fun. We have someone who's dressed up as Jane herself with the red coat and the blue gloves. And there's someone on stilts dressed like the slasher. And then there's these two over here dressed up like the fairies from that one painting that my talk sprite is also dressed like. And these dancers. And also, you'll notice, this guy right here, that's this guy. This fairy over on the left is this girl. And the fairy on the right is the one at this booth. So the students are coming together to put together a play. How lovely. I think I had the most fun with these dancers' costumes. When I was drawing them, I had a few different ideas, but what we ultimately landed on was this one. They're supposed to look like paper chain people, so they're holding hands. Maybe there would be a bunch of them all across the stage holding hands. And they have these cut lines on their limbs that are supposed to sort of look like the cut lines on meat that's about to be butchered. And then you also got the ribbons around their waist and the ribbon wands. I imagined in my mind these guys twirling around on the stage and the ribbons just kind of flowing around them and out of them like blood or guts falling out of them. But speaking of these dancers, who wants to listen to some music? Let's listen to a song. I've been listening to this on repeat for a while. Sing along if you know the words. good. It's so good. Oh man, at some point I'd like to make some kind of lyric video for that maybe. I think it could be fun. But it's so good. What else can I say? That song is by Lonesome Cowpoke. Murphy wrote the lyrics and then Lonesome did the composing. Oh, it's such a banger. Honestly, I was a little surprised with the direction that it was going in the first time I got to hear a little bit of it. I thought that a slasher song would maybe be a little bit more like dramatic. I don't know. But I think this more upbeat thing is actually a lot better for the slasher. I think it suits her a lot more. It's upbeat and it's fun and it's exciting. Let's see, is there anything else I'd like to mention on this page? I probably won't read every single thing, but I do want to say, the way these are written, they're supposed to resemble like a script. Just fun formatting thing. You got the interior and then you got the slasher narrating. Oh, and this. This amazing sculpture that was made by Flora Fauna of the slasher. It's so sick. It's so cool. He's getting crushed to death. Yippee! Alright, and then we just have one more page. Well, not quite one more, but one last page mentioned here. Suburbia. So I'm not going to read every single one of these, I don't think, but there are some that I want to highlight. Does everyone remember what I was saying about Maisie earlier? So we got Kiddo's first visit to Maisie Land. Yay! Aw, look at this kid. This kid with their Maisie the Mutt plush and their Maisie the Mutt hat with little doggy ears. So cute. In the comments of this, we see Mama Monica, who says, I can't believe parents are still allowing their children to be exposed to this crap. Absolutely absurd. Grandma Ghoulie says, you are so rude. Wonderlander9999 says, what do you have against the sweetest pup in America? Mama Monica says, Maisie is a bad influence on children. The cartoons teach children to disrespect authority, break rules, and participate in satanic behavior. When my daughter was younger, she saw a Maisie cartoon where the dog buried her friend alive, and it scared my daughter so bad she had nightmares for a week. Those cartoons are not appropriate for children, neither is any horror movie. Maisie? Satanic? LOL, that is ridiculous. Maisie is a gentle and loving puppy who teaches children about friendship and kindness. So here we get more insight on modern day Maisie and what people think of her. These people are describing Maisie as sweet and gentle and loving. She's a puppy who teaches about friendship and kindness. She's patriotic. She's a staple of American childhood. Loving is definitely something that the Maisie we know can be described as, but the rest of it feels a little bit strange compared to the Maisie we know. The Maisie we know is not what most people think of when they think of Maisie the Mutt. I love to think they have the equivalent of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse in the Pendog world. Maisie Mutt's Little Hut. How's that? What else do we have? We have World's Fair Tour plus Rant. This week, my daughter and I made the trek over to New York to see the World's Fair Memorial Park. I remember having to go on this trip during school when I was a child, and it is just as gray and bleak as I remember. You'd think a park would be a pleasant place to visit, but it's just a few scattered museum buildings, the Unisphere, and solid, ugly concrete. The cell service here is terrible too. It feels like a very sad excuse for a memorial, considering how tragic the World's Fair incident was, and how many people lost their lives. My uncle was a soldier during that time and told us stories about the terrible things he saw. I think requiring children to visit this park and museum is too depressing. They should not have to be exposed to this history. Fellow mothers who homeschool their kiddos, how do you feel about the mandated educational trips like this? As the teacher of my child, I feel I should be allowed to choose what I teach and not be required to, at certain points in my child's education, travel out of state to various national monuments and whatnot. Don't the parents of children in traditional schools still get to decide whether or not to sign the permission slip for trips like this? It's ridiculous that it's nationally mandated, even for independent homeschool programs. Especially since I have to pay for the travel and lodging expenses for both myself and daughter. If they're going to force us to drag our kids to these horrible places, they could at least compensate us. So here's our little telechrome for the update. The World's Fair Memorial Park. It's a bit hard to see here in this tiny little picture. Let me see if I can get the bigger one up from my file. But there's a picture of some kind of stone, some kind of rock. Where is it? Here. It says, the time capsule deposited by the Teletrica Innovations Corporation as a record of 20th century civilization, to endure for 5,000 years. So this entire park has been turned into a memorial site for the World's Fair incident and the people who died there and the resulting fallout from that. In real life, this park is like the Unisphere is still there, and there's a park and there's a museum, and there is a time capsule. But in this world, that park isn't just like a cool park you can go to. It's also something meant to commemorate a terrible incident. And in this world, it is mandated for children to visit this park to learn about the World's Fair incident during their education. So, while we, as the people in the real world, don't know what the World's Fair incident is, or what happened, what led it to happen, basically everyone in America in the Pendog world knows about that. So, Penny not elaborating in any of her articles isn't her, like, omitting information. It's common knowledge to her and to the people who would be reading her articles. Because everyone at some point in their school, in their education, has to go to this park and learn about this. Even homeschool programs. Which of the rest of these do I want to read? This one, The Slasher. I was shocked today to discover that my daughter has been playing satanic games with her friends. I walked in on the girls during a sleepover only to find my daughter reading from a book full of horrible monsters and encouraging kids to role play and participate in violent acts in the game. I don't know where she got this book from, but it's absolutely not appropriate for children to be exposed to. I had to send all my daughter's friends home. I have, of course, confiscated the book, but I don't know what on earth I'm supposed to do with it now. I don't want this in my home or infecting my family with violence and degeneracy. So the D&D monster book, like Murphy mentioned in her stream, probably would not have been, this page probably would not have been in the book when Jane gifted it to Anthony. It might have appeared more recently than that. Let me see if I have the bigger picture for this as well, so we can actually read some of that text. It gets a little bit hard to read. There we go. The Slasher, a being formed from expectations flung into blue strangling ribbon forms, existing within the boundaries of hands that grasp for power, everywhere yet nowhere, strongly insisted upon existing, yet constantly changing and irresolute in nature. A thing that hungers for validation and takes it until her victims are empty bags of skin or choked black and blue. So at this point in time, Jane has been missing for several years. So Anthony would have been hiding this book for a really long time from his mother, because this was in February of this year. Let's see, was there another one of these that I really wanted to read out? Or is the one about social media? Here. How much is too much? What are all you mama bears' thoughts on screen time for your tweens? I don't let my daughter use the internet unsupervised, 1 hour of computer time a day, and no social media. I also see no reason why she should have a cell phone at her age. She has tried to argue with me about this multiple times, saying all her friends have phones and social media accounts. The truth is I did used to let her use social media before, but after seeing what kinds of things she was being exposed to, I've decided that it's best for her to stay away from all that garbage. I don't want my poor kiddo being indoctrinated into any of that woke ideology or being preyed on by strangers online. I'm worried that she's going to go behind my back or use her friends to access the internet. I just want to keep my precious little girl safe. And then there's another comment about it's chill to let your child use social media if you teach them how to do it right. And then Mama Monica says, yes, but when I did let her use social media on her own, she was exposed to posts telling her to inject herself with hormones and mutilate her body. I know what's best for my baby girl, and that's to stay away from online spaces. And then if you think about this post in conjunction with, where was it? This. We fired the sitter several years ago when we saw his social media posts, and my daughter was hiding the book from me since then. She said I wouldn't understand and that it was a gift, but I do not want this ideology infecting my child. So it seems like, at some point, Mama Monica saw Jane's social media posts, and that's what caused her to fire Jane as Anthony's babysitter. And we know that Mama Monica is also Jane's next door neighbor. So well, that probably was not very fun to experience. Then if we get rid of all these little thingies under everything, is Anthony. And again, I don't think I'm going to read all of this tonight. But if we go down, every day he waited for the nightmare to end, until he arrived at the kind doctor's office.
Take my hand and follow me. I know a place where you'll be free. World of shelter, friendly charms, home of kindness, not so far. No more sunken, tarry tears. Your hopeless eyes shall be wiped clear. Every worry brushed away. In this place where you will stay. Until you feel whole again.
until you have someone you can call a friend. Wool and paper, felt and yarn, harmony achieved when harm undone. World of dreams which speak to you, realm of the beloved, stars and blue. Ah, what a miraculous marvel I adore. Never expected to see you at my door. Have you been safe? Have you been well? Has the world been kind and not a spell? 2 years have passed and yours, not mine. As for me, oh, where goes the time? The stars in blue, decades of new, friends, community, the tattered sewn through. Surviving for 2 years, though, what an achievement. What a wonder. As long as you're still living, life's not squandered. But why, oh why, am I speaking in rhyme? Habits formed from my lover half, yellow-snouted thing with blue cloche hat. I believe I hear her on the horizon, beckoning sunlight into the quilted sky of stitch and seam. Always a wonder, always breathtaking. My friends begin their morning routines, and in the air there is a song we created together. Can you hear it? That song we sang together on the night I destroyed that false mother, that abstract mother. The music that lulled me into sweet dreams and runs through this world as its own special energy. But to dwell on the nature of nature and the ground and the sky is redundant, not why I'm here. Though my reason is not an unkind one. A serious reason, but not a worrying one. An intent that is to be heavily regarded, but not with fear. It is love of which I speak, as I tend to speak of most things. What a mess that slasher has made of things. I am sure she cares in her own twisted way about the well-being of this child, yet in her typical manner, she has only changed the hue of his nightmare, rather than its values or opacity. A cold shell of a woman with no feeling or care for what her child does, whether he leaves or stays, lives or dies, does or not. That is no mother for a child to have. No mother for anyone to have. Ultimately a selfish decision, capable of kindness though she may be. I'm aware I remain quiet compared to the others gathered here, but I suppose that could simply be from my nature. The nature of the stars in blue, a place that has been made very much real and tangible, and glows and emits light from its many, many celestial constellations. Was it real before? Was it real after? Was it born from Jane's words to paper, or did it precede this? Written from some energy channeled into her thoughts about a place that somewhere was real and not imagined? If you asked the slasher, she'd say it was born from Jane's thoughts, a place she resents and sees as gated to her alone. A simple imaginary construct, nothing more than a dream. If you asked the children who fell here, they'd tell you it's very much real, always has been. A gift from the sky for those who fall beneath the ground. Something that humans with special inclinations and sight happen to write or create art about. A world that cares about children, What a dreamful place it is indeed. None of those children ever remember this place, sadly, a necessity of childhood and growing up. Sometimes you forget the people who cared about you and made life bearable during that tumultuous period. They always remember the feeling of it, however. A comforting hand on their shoulder, someone telling them not to be afraid. The idea that during that time there was someone who genuinely cared about them and looked out for their well-being. It would be a lie to say I do not feel bittersweet every time a visitor must leave this place. Yet, I am always so proud of them. Proud of you. Proud of Jane. Jane. Much in the same way I found false comfort in the want, she has seemingly found it in the blue-gloved hands of water-eaten people. A tragedy in all forms, yet not hopeless. Never let your imagination consign her to that place forever. It could very well be a temporary stage. A place where she might eventually realize that the cost of surviving is too great if paid in such a way. Jane is a survivor. I'm sure that in time, the stars and the blue will show her a better, brighter way. But I am besides the point. I felt it necessary to intervene on this young boy's behalf. Take him away from this awful place. Give him some time to think and figure himself out without worrying about worrisome things like survival, rent, foster care, and the like. Have I mentioned how proud of you I am? The red heart within this chest wells with pride, seeing what you have made of yourselves in the 2 years since we last met. Wherever life may carry us after this moment, whatever winding red threads might try to confuse and disorient you, through cities, broken books, malignant pages, suffocating sickly green hues of a mismade deep blue, crumbling factories, abandoned radio rooms, baseball fields, puppet shows, animation studios, and art galleries. Throughout all those things, I will gaze upon you with kinder eyes, the kindest eyes imaginable. Eyes so kind they illuminate the pitch starry sky, to reach you, to tell you that I am proud of you. The stars that shimmer amongst the blue, my stars and blue. Safe travels, my friends. Although we must now part ways, the stars and blue it shall stay. In your heart and in your dreams, forever there for when you need. A place to retreat or a place to cry. Gloved hands will wipe your tired eyes. Someone out there cares for you. A kind doctor dwelling in the stars and blue.
So with that, we've finally heard from the Slishy Slasher herself. I want to talk about the audio editing a little bit, and then we can talk about the stars and blue itself. But so the audio, when I'm editing audio like this, I really like to think about like what kind of the environment is. Like I'll close my eyes and I'll picture in my mind like a movie scene of what this is and try to figure out what all the little noises are. So for this one, it starts with the experience of falling into the world of Stitch and Seam. And then you can hear the little bell above the door as you enter the doctor's office. And when you leave it again, there's a little ding-a-ling. And at the end, if you listen really closely, you can even hear the puppets greeting each other and greeting you as you walk into the town. You can hear them saying hello and good morning and how are you? And while Slishy is talking, you can hear clothing rustling as she moves, stuff like that. Let's talk about Slishy. We've been talking a lot about the slasher, but it's time to talk about Slishy. Murphy, did you have something you would like to say? If you've been snooping at my tabs, you might have seen up here. I have the Stars and Blue zine open. To the Kind Doctor's page, we can see Slishy. This is Slishy Slasher. This is the Kind Doctor. With her red and her many arms and her doctor's coat. The many arms of the want. So, Murphy mentioned it in her stream. Where's the page? About how when Slishy Slasher finally felt at peace after destroying the abstract mother, she sheds her blue-tinted coat to go back to herself, her red self, which at the very, very start you get to see her as a kid and she is red, but then over time she becomes blue. I forget exactly how it's worded, but she becomes soaked with blue as she grows up from being mistreated. But like Murphy mentioned, she shed this coat, and so the slasher is kind of like what this coat became. Oh, her amazing disappearing and reappearing act. Hello.
Hello, I don't think my microphone is working.
Oh, was I talking over you? I'm so sorry.
Um, yeah, the want is its own character. It's not a part of anything. Um, maybe if we ever did a Stars and Blue sequel, I would like to maybe devote some time to talking about the want. Um, in fact, we should do a Stars and Blue live reading
That
on
would be
stream
fun.
at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely get a bit touchy about differentiating slasher and slushy slasher. Um, because they are two different people, and it kind of this will sound odd. It when people call the slasher slushy, it kind of feels like they're misgendering her. Um, and the slasher would like get very angry if someone was to call her slushy. She'd be like, "Don't fucking call me that. I'm not slushy. I'm the slasher or Janet or something else." Um, that's it. That's all I was saying.
So yeah, this is the want. But while the slasher also has many arms, those arms belong to her. The want is separate from Slishy, but accompanies her throughout the Stars in Blue and the world of Stitch and Seam. But yeah, I was talking about it earlier a little bit about meeting Murphy and her including me in things, and the big thing was the Stars and Blues storybook. That's kind of, we were friends for a while before it, or maybe not friends, but like we knew each other, we talked sometimes, but the
We
Stars and
were,
Blue,
yeah, we were like mutuals who would interact on and off.
yeah.
We never like talked by DM. Um, and then I remember the Stars and Blue started and Salem became a part of it. Um, and then they made the Doodle McNoodle um puppet, and I was like, "Hey," it's like, "Hello, hello there."
Doodle's my little wingman. But it was really wonderful getting to work on the Stars and Blue. I'd never been a part of something like that before, or at least not to that extent. And so it really helped me meet a lot of new people. It helped me get out of my shell. It helped me talk to people again and share things, and just being a part of something like that was really great. And if I could do it all over again, I would. And I kind of am every day with Pendog, and it's great, and I love it. And the Stars and Blue is what got me to make puppets. Doodle was the first puppet I ever made. I had made, I'd sewn like plushies a little bit before, but I'd never made a puppet. I'd always wanted to. I've always loved puppets. But this was my first time trying to do that. And now it's like one of my favorite things to do. I'm making puppets all the time. I have too many in my house now. They're taking over. And at some point soon, probably, I think I want to rebuild Doodle. Being the first puppet I ever made, I've learned since then I can do better now, and she's kind of falling apart in some places, just a little bit. So I might clone her. I might put her in the cloning machine soon. I'm gonna make my first puppet next Tuesday. I refurbished a childhood teddy bear, though. That's great. Everyone make puppets. Everyone make things. Everyone learn how to sew right now. It's great. It's so fun. Will you make a puppet of Slishy? Hmm. The idea has
We've
occurred to me before.
we have talked about that on and off. Um, honestly, honestly, I don't think I've mentioned this except outside in like DMs, but like the idea I always had was that over her time in the Stars and Blue, Slishy would become more puppet-like. Um, like her form would become more puppet-like. And then one day someone would arrive in the Stars and Blue and they'd find like a walking, talking puppet who resembled someone that might have once been called the Slishy Slasher.
I think that's so cute. Oh my god. Looking at this, it makes me emotional now, reading this back. But yeah, as for incorporating the Stars and Blue into Pendog, the world of Stitch and Seam does exist, and the Slishy Slasher and her friends exist. But the storybook itself doesn't? Question mark. The ideas are there, people are trying to put them together, but it's a little bit up for interpretation as to whether Jane really did create the Slishy Slasher and the world of the Stars and Blue, or if it has always existed and she just kind of channeled it through her art. There's a lot of possible explanations you could come up with, I'm sure. Oh, also, the other thing I wanted to mention about this page, the background, the art, these are real fabric textures. Since the world of stitch and seam is supposed to be quilted together and made of fabric and felt and all that fuzzy good stuff, you've got like fleece here, this is felt, this is some kind of silk stuff, this is some fuzzy, soft, like plushy sort of texture. Even the clouds here, those are little puffs of polyester stuffing. And the sky's quilted together. And then you got all these little pictures. You got Mr. and Mrs. Slink over here, Slishy's house, a drawing that would have been done by Doodle probably, some flowers, and then their wedding picture. Oh, it looks so cute. Yeah, this was fun to draw. Even if I feel like it's a little bit simple, but I wanted it to be simple. Let's see. I think there's only a little bit more I might talk about tonight. And that will require us to go to the slasher's innards. It's about the music. That's mostly what I want to talk about. Honestly, reading this makes me very emotional, so I'm not going to be reading it on stream, but let's listen to this. So in the music, if you listen very closely, you can hear, well, the most obvious thing you can hear probably is the Stars in Blue music, sort of echoing and warping around the space. You can hear the sound of a heartbeat, and you can also hear Jane's voice as she narrates the slasher zine out loud. You can hear that fading in and out of the music. Along the sides of this page, you can see veins and blood cells. You are inside of the slasher right now. And coming down, all the way down, where is it? Clicking this will give you the regular slasher zine. And then if you click on the little snowflakes on this page, they'll take you to narrated videos. Videos narrated by Jane herself. So the slasher carries Jane with her.
Discomfort is a natural state, and the world will always have the concept within it. That is to say, if there ever was a world without mild discomfort from interactions with others, then it would be brought about by a greater violence than any people that cause discomfort could ever be capable of.
So you can hear that echoing throughout the music. And in the audio on this page, it's snowing. You can also hear Jane's voice whispering in the background as she narrates the zines, as the slasher speaks. Which, if you listen really closely, you can hear it.
You stand at the edge of nowhere. Flared coats and mittens long succumb to the freezing chill that batters away at skin and bone. Arms, legs, fingers, toes. All mortal, human in their rigid long succumb.
I'm not going to play the entire 20-minute audio again. Cranberry, hi! We got the slasher in chat. But yeah, you can hear Jane's voice whispering underneath as the slasher speaks. And you can hear it in the slasher's inner music. Let me see if I can find the part that is my favorite part.
She will always exist wherever she is leaving them empty and hollow, perhaps even changing them in ways unique to themselves. This is the true violence of art, brought to the stage line and make it so. I will give them everything they ever wanted, make their fears a part of being able to maim and kill a reality. Zine, I release a repulsive, dreaded killer into the streets to haunt your neighborhoods and inflict unimaginable pain to those who oppose her existence.
That's my favorite part. All right, I think that is all my notes that I have, everything I wanted to talk about. Murphy, is there any last little thoughts you want to say?
Not really. I feel like if we hadn't done an 8-hour stream, I feel like I'd have more to say.
Yeah, you covered a
Um,
lot. All right, then. I guess I'll wrap things up by going to the credits page. And just reminding people that we have a Patreon, that's TikTok, a Patreon that you can check out. You can see all sorts of fun behind the scenes stuff. You might even be able to see some of the stuff that hasn't been seen yet, some upcoming characters. If you're interested in that, there's lots of fun rewards you can get, lots of different options. There's also a Ko-Fi. I closed the wrong tab. God damn it. Murphy's Ko-Fi or coffee, or however you want to say it, if you want to just make a one-time donation. And there's also, we're going to be utilizing the shop feature on that a little bit more in the coming weeks, hopefully, with some little digital goods, some fun little extra bonus things. And then for things that were created for this winter update, you have the Slasher song, which was done by Lonesome Cowpoke. You have all the new VAs, 5 new VAs, including Cranberry Bubble as the Slasher, April Kingrose as the Slasher, Frigg as the Slasher. You've got Jean Swazi Carthers as Jane Prell, and Andu as Slishy Slasher. So many good voices. And yes, see, even in voice, Slishy and the Slasher sound different and are different. What else was from this update? Down here, you got Flora-Fauna, who did the ceramic slasher sculpture. You got Kettlebird, who did the cute little Telly science poster. There's the person who did the gallery page sprites and backgrounds, which was really amazing and well done, but they wanted to remain anonymous, and then me and Murphy handled the rest. So, thank you everyone for showing up. I hope you are all having fun being here. It's fun doing this again. And I'm glad I was able to get Murphy on the stream. That's really cool. Tomorrow I'm going to be streaming some of the Anthology of the Killer games, and Murphy's going to be there too. So if you're interested in that at all, the game that inspired a lot of the writing for Pendog, come hang out. I think that's everything. Oh, that will be happening. What time is that happening at?
6 p.m. EST.
Yeah. So, come play games with us. Come play videos game. Come meet BB. You can see my amazing BB costume. Which one is it? This one. You can see this. Isn't that cool? But yeah, so I think that's everything. Have a good night, everyone. Watch out for the slasher. Leave a. What would you offer the slasher?
Like, comment, and subscribe to not get killed by the slasher.
Leave out a bowl of milk for the kitty slasher tonight.
The lactose intolerant slasher.
Okay. And that's the end of stream. Bye bye.
Bye.